Hi. Hello. How are we? So yeah, babies. Well, welcome back to what do we call these things, by the way? One time a friend labeled them rants. I think when I first started, there was kind of like a theme to this. I don't know. But today's video is about inspired by a Netflix anime. I think it's Blue-Eyed Samurai. Yes. So I'm gonna read it to you. A breeze can throw a crane off course. And I write a note for myself. Observe your surroundings and the environment. A breeze can throw a crane, of course. See? Blue-eyed samurai. Uh, all right. So, naturally, when the idea behind, I wonder why, can we find something similar that is applied on the main roads? I guess the closest thing to that would be walking in a desert, right? Because when you're flying in the sky, what is actually your compass? No? And when you're walking in a desert, it's kind of like the same thing. You kind of have to have like you're following the stars at night, or I don't know, you follow the sun in the day. That was to be some way for us to navigate. But the idea is uh, is that even the smallest of breeze, and that's from a travel's perspective, within the circle, if you kind of like move 1 degree, you will start feeling it after a certain distance. Because 1 degree is literally, I don't know, the best way I can explain it is here, right? These are two papers, and these are parallel to each other. But let's say this is a degree. At the bottom, they're very much exactly at the same distance. But as you travel, that 1 degree starts kind of like revealing its true kind of space. So I want you to imagine like a 1 degree difference, but a kilometer away. It's a completely different route, a completely different space, a completely different environment. I don't know why I'm explaining to you. I'd imagine that people watching this understand what 1 degree in a circle does. But the truth is, just kind of, there's a lot of things that we kind of catch on because we're bright enough to get it, maybe. But the truth behind, the depth behind the explanation always comes out from the mundane aspect of our focus. So the idea behind that 1 degree difference is is that same like that rule, that 1% rule. And there's I read it in a lot of books and I read it in a lot of articles. It's the whole one. You are at 1%. The 99% of effort that you do makes whatever you're doing, I think, like good, great, amazing. But there's that 1% where you kind of like lose focus, I guess. Or there's 1% when you're comfortable and you're like, no, it's fine. And that small thing that I don't know. It's like I'm going back to a memory when I was like I spent 4 hours, and what I was doing was I was taking the honeycombs that we collected, me and my father, and I was kind of like that we were extracting the honey from them. And after 4 hours of work, I decided the place smelled a lot like honey, so I sprayed cologne, and that could have fucked the like I think like about I think 12 to 15 pounds of fucking honey, like about 8 to 10 kilos of honey. Would have fucked with that simply because for that one I lost basically for a split second my rationale, my consciousness, my logic, my approach, my reasoning. I kind of like it was dismissed. And the idea is that like 1% that small bit of difference, a small breeze as you're kind of like walking, and like something you say okay to that you shouldn't, or something that you say yes to that you should have said no to, or something you said you didn't say yes to when you should have, right? And it's always like smaller things. I don't know. It's like if you didn't really like, it's like a bigger pattern gets built on small okay habits, or it passed habits, or what's the difference? I can do it tomorrow. Mark Cuban says that the way you do one thing, you do everything, right? It's like the small thing, like, no, I'll pick this up later, or I'll do this in a bit. These kind of like grow into the bigger patterns. And I don't know, it's funky because it seems like I don't know, you need a lot more consistency in order to, you need a lot more consistencies for things to easily fall into place than the other way around. Is the energy towards something, well, okay, so the logic behind it, the energy towards a yes is the same as the energy towards the no? No, I think it's the same energy. No, the only difference is like in where you're coming from. And I feel that's the strength of our angles, right? Because like for some people it's a lot easier to say yes to something, and for some people it's a lot easier to say no to something. And it's always about what they're coming from. And it's not that it's a hard decision to take, sorry, or a hard, or that requires focus in order to notice these things. It's that these are depending on what you place within your scope, what comes naturally to you has been built over the course of like, I guess, hours of experimentation, or days and years of presence and focus, or just attention. And like, let's use attention because like ultimately that's it. Like, you can't focus. You get focused if you give something enough attention. Then you notice enough details for that to be its own world. And once it's its own world, once something becomes its own world, it's easier for you to be lost in it. And the reason you look focused from the outside is because the rest of the world contains a whole lot of things, right? Like, me saying this effectively says that what we're lost is we're lost in the shallowness of things. And if we give attention to something specific, what we're able to do is to see the world that it exists in. And it just reminded me of that movie, Horton Hears a Who. You remember that movie about the elephant that kind of like finds a small, like dandelionish thing that has like a whole fucking world inside of it where people live in it, and he's the only one who can hear them because he has big ears. And that's the case with everything, correct? Like, it's fascinating, and I definitely feel that when you're playing music because you're just looking at a guitar, right? But then suddenly you're looking at every single note you can play with the guitar, and then all you're seeing is the guitar and the music it can bring about. And then you could also look at how the history of the guitar, and that's its own world. And those are the details that tension that extract focus from us. And I did not go on a tangent because what we have established right now is our presence within the situation. And what triggered that is the fact that the crane that's flying towards his destination or her destination, it could be a chick crane, right? Like, it could be a craneette. Is that what they call? Let's fucking Google this. ADHD at its finest. What is a female crane? Come on, Google. Give me something awesome. A female crane is, come on, fucking Google or Gemini. I don't know, it's just a crane. Hey, man. I wanted it to be called a craneette. Anyway, so a crane traveling in a direction uh, would basically would can be thrown off course by a simple breeze. And the note I write here is observe your surroundings slash the environment, as in like our presence should actively be like checking ourselves and the position that we're in regards to why we are in that position. Checking our presence and the position we're in regards to why we are in that. And the logic is sound and simple. It's like, am I still within the world that I want to be in? Am I still flying in the direction I want to go to? Because like that 1 degree difference in your basically course would end up, you see, both of us are going the same direction, but 1 degree here, it kind of like splits as the distance passes. And I think that's where basically our attention is built, or our behavior, our structures are built by kind of like, not by forcing something or building discipline, but kind of like giving attention to things where the pattern becomes a disciplined pattern. The smallest bit of effort from our side is basically to shift from I never saw this to I saw this, or I see this all the time, to I do not have to see this. It all depends on where we're going. Like if a crane is flying, basically he needs to keep his wings open, but when it's on the ground, it doesn't open its wings. It keeps them closed because it doesn't need to, unless it wants to fly, right? Every situation requires something, and all depends on what we want out of it. It was an interesting vibe, man. I really loved the fact when I actually like highlighted the whole giving attention to something allows you to see the detail in its own world. And that basically, you're instead of being lost in the world where everything exists, you're lost when everything pertaining to that exists, which looks like focus from the outside world. I love it. Which means even in our worst moments when we're all over the place, we're still focused on life. There's a lot of life going on. That's why you're kind of like, yeah, all over it. I fucking love you guys. Bye.